Ladies and gentlemen, it's Hot Legs, straight from the wine exchange with wine expert Kyle Meyer.
You know, you always got to taste the wine before you serve it, because if you get a stinker, you know, what do? You're in the middle of the camera, you know, the wine stinks. So, pardon me while I was drinking. I'm tasting, sorry. This show's not going to suck. Okay, look out Napa Valley, look out Bordeaux. Here comes Chile. Finally, man, it only took these cats like 20 years to get their act together and start making world-class wines. Of course, I hate to say this, but, you know, it kind of took the French to go in and kickstart the whole thing. Not to knock the fine Chilean people, but, you know, the fact of the matter is French know how to make wine, right? So why not go down there and kick some tail and use some great natural resources, and in a fairly short period of time, vis-a-vis how long it took for Bordeaux to get started, start producing world-class wine. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at 3 big gun, high-class red wines from Chile, from 3 producers that all have they're all French-based, and they're all sourcing fruit from some of the finest vineyards in the central part of Chile. We're going to start with the Clos Apalta. Now, Clos Apalta is the top cuvée made by Casa L'Apostol. Now, Casa L'Apostol is the Chilean arm of the Marnier L'Apostol family, who owns Grand Marnier. So, Cadillac margaritas, world-class red wine, you know, all kind of works together. Anywho, they bought the property some years back, and this is in the Colchagua Valley, south of Santiago. They bought a property with fantastic older vineyards already, and they've done extensive replanting on top of that. You'll see that theme amongst all 3 of these wines today. And a few years back, late 90s, they started to ponder producing a super cuvée from some of their finest, oldest vineyards after they'd gotten their act together and created the winery and did the whole 9 yards and made the fancy visitation thing. And I'm sure there's T-shirts and the Clos Apalta girls. Anyway, now they have a super cuvée, and it's called Clos Apalta, and it's made from 60-year-old vines, the finest vines on the property, from the Apalta vineyard, which is, a lot of people are saying is the finest vineyard site in the Colchagua Valley, although the folks at Lafitte might have a bone to pick with them, but we'll get to that in a second. So here's the deal. They're taking top French techniques, top French winemaking, top French vine growing, and throwing it down there in Chile, and it's making a huge difference. For years, Chile basically over-irrigated their vineyards. They had the wrong clones. You know the story. I mean, basically, they were making just mediocre wine from cropping too heavy, dirty wineries, you name it. They had every problem in the book. And the French have basically gone down there and cleaned up shop, and these are the results. This is a blend of Merlot, Carmenere, which is a fun variety that was originally grown in Bordeaux, but after the phylloxera scourge in the late 1800s, Carmenere kind of lost its way. They didn't replant it in Bordeaux because it's difficult to grow, just kind of a pain in the rear, and instead it found a new home in Chile. And for years, a lot of grapes that the Chileans thought were in fact Merlot were actually Carmenere. And they recently discovered this and realized that they have tons of this old vine Carmenere, which grows quite well in Chile. And if you harvest it the right way, don't overwater, pick it late, it makes world-class wine, and that's what we have here. So Merlot, Carmenere, and Cabernet Sauvignon, all done in French barrels, of course, unfined, unfiltered, 60-year-old vines. First immediate impression is this wine smells expensive. You know, some wines just smell expensive, and this one does so. I mean, top-flight French wood, wonderful cassis and blueberry flavors jumping out of the glass. Very new school. This isn't, to me, this doesn't smell as French. It smells very modern, but I don't mind that at all. This is a strumpet of a wine. Ooh, doggy. How about that 2004 vintage? Excellent year in Chile, and it shows. This wine has wonderful concentration, great richness. Earlier cuvées of this wine maybe were a little more plodding and simple. This one has a little more lift. There's brightness to the wine to go along with all that energetic, heavily concentrated fruit. Really smart wine, completely panders. I think it'll age well. Great new school wine. And I dig the cool Obrion bottle. Smart, I like. Now we're going to switch gears. This is Clos Apalta, Marnier L'Apostol family. Now, so what happens if the folks behind Mouton Rothschild decide to start getting into the game? Well, what they do is they hook up with one of the finest growers in the Rapel Valley, Country Toro, and they produce a wine called Almaviva. And Almaviva is named after the Count Almaviva from the play, from the Marriage of Figaro, from Beaumarchais. So there's a whole like kind of French vibe going in, even though it's a Chilean sounding name. Cool premise, really heavy bottle, and killer wine. Now here we're spinning it the other way. This wine's 72% Cabernet Sauvignon, 28% of that Ultra Luxe Carmenere. Now what happened here is the vineyards here aren't quite as old. These vineyards are only about 20, 25 years old. Still old by Napa Valley standards, mind you, but this is the top part. This is from the finest part of the Rappel Valley. Now this smells a little more Frenchy here, okay? Now we're starting to get in that Bordeaux territory. There's more of that cassis, you get more currant. A little more mineral. Nice little dusty aspect. It makes you think a little bit of the left bank. And a touch more of the Chilean terroir. The Chilean terroir is, in fact, sometimes it can be green in excess of like green peppercorn character. But what about like the best peppercorns you ever had? You know, the ones you sent away for mail order, like Penzies or whatever, and you just do a couple grinds on top of your steak, and you're like, whoa! And that's the kind of peppercorn we're talking here. Just a wonderful pepperiness that really accentuates all that dynamite fruit. This one smelled expensive. This one tastes expensive. This one tastes like a luxury cuvee high-end Napa Valley Cabernet, like a super groovy high-end Bordeaux. You know, triple-digit type stuff. And this wine's usually, I think it's going to eventually sell in triple digits. I mean, right now it's on the shelf in that $50, $55 price range around town. Makes it a great deal. I mean, think about what you get for $50 from the Napa Valley. Outside of some of those Cabernets we talked about in some earlier episodes of Hot Legs, you don't see many great Napa Valley Cabernets at $50, but you can get world-class wine from Chile for that price. I'd put this up against stuff twice as much, honestly. Hate to say it, this wine's a little better balanced than this wine. That being said, this wine's a little more of a strumpet. This one's holding a little more in reserve. Once again, that great 04 vintage. Fabulous year. And 2003 was no slouch. Okay, so Marnier-Lapostall family got into the game. The Mouton family got into the game. Time for Lafite to get into the game, right? Lafite Rothschild. Why not, why not go down there and see what's cooking? Everybody else is, right? Well, on the contrary, I think Lafite was down there before either of these two cats. The Domaine Baron de Rothschild purchased Los Vascos back in 1988. So they were there quite some time ago. Now, the property they purchased was in Colchagua and was planted heavily to Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, they've done some extensive replanting on their own to put some better clones back in, some better vineyard spacing, etc. But they did keep a couple very special parts of the vineyard. The oldest vines they did leave behind. And so that's why they decided in 1998 to celebrate the 10th anniversary to produce a wine called Le 10 de Los Vascos, the 10th of Los Vascos. This wine is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon wine from 60-year-old vines, all aged in 100% new French oak, which the vast majority of it was coopered by Lafite Rothschild themselves at their winery at Lafite. So you're getting Lafite winemaking, you're getting Lafite barrels, you're getting old vine Cabernet Sauvignon, and you're getting it all for south of $40. Crazy. And for the last several vintages, this stuff smelled and tasted like Lafite, and it does again. You get a little bit of that, once again, that beautiful green peppercorn nuance, which is very Chilean. And then you get that top Lafite cooperage finding its way in there. You get forest strawberries. Lafite's about elegance, right? If anyone's been fortunate enough to have Lafite, it's a very elegant, polished wine with a stylish demeanor, and it just says, I'm better than you. And Le 10 kind of has that vibe. But it says it in Spanish, right? So this is crazy polished stuff. This is the best showing I've had of this wine yet, and it didn't stink before. This wine's great. Wonderful polish, very elegant tannins. It comes across as more obviously tannic than either Almaviva or Closa Palta. But that's for a reason. I think these wines are geared to be less tannic, more open, more accessible early on. I think the folks at Lafite are trying to make a Van de Garde here, a wine you can throw down in the cellar for 10 or 12 years, pull it out, and really knock people out. And I think it'll do that. It's more tannic, but the tannins are very sweet and refined and polished. This wine's is class in a glass, huh? Super. You know, all three of these wines taste better even than I thought they would, and I love it when that happens. So check it out. You got Chile blowing up, right? You got three of the top French houses going down there making world-class wine and doing it for arguably half to a third of the price of comparable wines for the money anywhere else in the world. Enjoy.